Welcome back to the show. And I'm here today with Madeleine Lambert, and we're going to be talking about how you can replace yourself as CEO of your company and how she used intuitive hiring to do that. And she had a very important reason for replacing herself because she had a new baby on the way and there was a deadline for the birth that was not going to change. So she had to get organized for maternity leave. She's now on, but she's very kindly agreed to tell us about her experience. And if you don't know Madeleine, she's the CEO of Content Refined, which is a content marketing agency in Collingwood, Canada. And she won a prize ticket to go to the Dynamite Circle Summit in Bangkok, Thailand last year around this time. Because she had the best entrepreneurial success and passion of all the candidates who applied. And she recorded a podcast on that. I'll put the link to that in the notes. And she just had her first baby, Ethan, in June. So we're going to talk congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure what Ethan is saying there. But
yes, he's saying thank you. I may have to pause this video. I'm sorry.
No worries. All right, we just had a breastfeeding video pause break there, keeping this show PG rated.
Yeah.
So great to have you on the show, Madeleine.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I imagine it could have been quite stressful thinking that you've got this unmovable deadline where you've got to replace yourself if you're going to keep the business running, if not growing, while you're away. And how long are you going to be away from the business for?
In total, about 6 months. So I finished up on June 14th, and then I'll be going back sometime in mid-January.
Well, I imagine a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this and managers probably get a little stressed thinking about going on a 1-week vacation. And here you are taking 6 months off from your business, and you were the leader of the business, the CEO, the one who, made it grow and dealt with hiring and all kinds of other things.
Yeah, definitely.
And in fact, we're going to talk about all the roles you used to have in the business a bit later in the show. But why don't you tell me how you used your intuition to find the person who would replace you during the 6 months?
Well, basically, as soon as I found out that I was expecting, I knew that this was going to be a ticking time bomb. And, if I valued, taking some time off and spending it with my child, that I would have to figure out a solution to replace me in the business. So I started interviewing a bunch of different candidates. And basically I came across one candidate who I had met in the community before. She's a local girl here, but she didn't have any real sort of content marketing experience. So I really, really liked her. And so I decided to hire her part-time to see if she would be able to sort of understand the business and hit the ground running. And I was incredibly pleasantly surprised. And she's just taken it and she ran with it. And she turned out to be the perfect hire, regardless of the fact that she had no experience in this field, really.
That's quite a leap of faith you made there.
Yes, it was quite a leap of faith. But I think that, just going back to the intuition thing, if you have a good feeling about somebody and you think that they have what it takes in terms of grit, I think that there's a lot to say about that.
Now, you said you had a good feeling about her? Are you saying your gut felt good about it, or your heart, or tell me more about how you knew your intuition said, yeah, thumbs up on this person?
I just felt like I trusted her. And I think trust plays a huge part in your intuition. You know, if you feel like you can trust somebody from the get-go, I think that that says a lot about them. Especially when you're a business owner who's been, you know, jaded by crappy employees in the past. You know, you definitely are quick to not trust somebody. So I think that this, she was a great hire. I really trusted her right off the bat, and it turns out that she's doing an amazing job, and the business is growing, and I won't ask for my job back.
You'll get a better job back when you go back there.
Exactly. And so, that role is still being defined in terms of what I will do when I go back to work. But or I'm definitely leaning towards sort of a business development and, you know, sales manager position.
Great. Wow. So she's going to be, is she the CEO now, or what does she have a title, or?
She is the business manager right now. So she essentially manages everything in the business right now. She, from managing our teams of project managers, from doing our sort of marketing initiatives, our sales. She's wearing a bunch of different hats right now, which is a lot of work, and she's pulling very long weeks, and I'm very appreciative of that. And she's learning a ton, and she's just running with it. I'm very proud of her. Yeah.
Was she surprised when you hired her for this role? Because you said she didn't have experience.
I think that so I hired her as a part-time employee at first. So I think that she was very happy when we asked her to come on board full-time, and then gave her sort of increased responsibilities. Yes.
So she wasn't overwhelmed by having all those hats to wear.
I think that there was a moment when we were going through sort of our maternity leave checklist, and I had written down sort of everything that I've been doing, and everything that sort of falls on my plate. I think that there's been a few moments where she feels overwhelmed by the volume and just like the sheer amount of work that she has to do. But you know, she's been well compensated for it, and she's being exposed to a ton of different stuff that she wouldn't have been otherwise if I didn't go on maternity leave. So,
wow. Now, how did you do that? You mentioned a maternity leave checklist, which sounds like a wonderful idea.
Oh yeah.
What else did you do to make the handover go smoothly? Because I guess after you'd left, you know, it's not like she could call you in the hospital when you're having your baby.
Well, she could. I've definitely kept that door open, and we do have like weekly meetings so that I'm up to date with everything that's going on, and I have sort of weekly KPIs that I look for. And we have a weekly sort of spreadsheet that she fills out so that I understand what's going on in the business. But in terms of the handoff and preparation, interesting that you ask. I believe you listened to my talk in Austin at the
I did.
Austin. So there was a part of that talk where I spoke about my org chart and my sort of portfolio of SOPs, so standard operating procedures. And so what I did, and what I was sort of a little bit obsessive compulsive about before I left, was making sure that my library of SOPs was complete. And so that if Laura ever had like a question or a procedural like little hiccup, she could always just refer back to that portfolio of SOPs, which would outline every single activity that I do in the business to a T. And so she wouldn't have to call me. But of course, like I'm human, and sometimes you aren't as clear as you mean to be, and your thoughts don't get put down on paper the way they should. And so, yeah, of course, she calls me every now and then to clarify some stuff. But that library of SOPs have served very, very well in terms of giving her guidance on day-to-day activities.
That is great that you did that. Now, I'm imagining that some people listening to this are like, well, I wish I had a detailed org chart and all the roles defined and great SOPs written, but I just don't have time to do that. And I'm wondering how you were running this business, you were getting ready to have a baby. How on earth did you find time to document all this stuff?
That's a great question. But whoever says they don't have time to do SOPs for their business have a very flawed way of thinking, because you would never build a house without a set of plans, right? You would never have a construction project without going by a set of plans, and that's what your SOPs are. And your business will fall apart if you don't have those. And so that is the most important part of your business, and everything else comes secondary. Even fulfillment, because if there was any point where I was feeling stretched and I had like a fulfillment side of the business to do versus like some filling out an SOP, the SOP is always going to come first on my priority list. And I believe that that's the best way to go about building your business.
And so I'm curious, did you spend an hour each morning doing this, or you worked late into the night doing your SOPs? Or
I basically, every single time I did something, I would have a Google Doc opened, and I would take screenshots of what I was doing step by step, and then write out the steps. So step 1 followed by a screenshot, step 2 followed by a screenshot. So yeah, everything took a little bit longer, but so worth my time, because it's allowed me to step away from the business.
So you did it organically, just during your day, as you did a task that you hadn't documented before.
Yeah, and then if there were things, like we have a big checklist of basically everything that anybody would need to do in the business. And so if there was a missing SOP, I would work later into the night to make sure that those were done before I left. Wow,
very dedicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard work, but it's so worth it. It's the glue that keeps your company together.
Right, and it really helps everyone else be organized and understand how to do things.
Definitely, yeah.
And it sounds like it made it a lot easier for you to step away for 6 months.
Absolutely, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done this without that. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned there your org chart, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like, org chart, schmorg chart. That's what big businesses have. Why do I need one when there was only 3 of us in the office, or how many there are? Well,
if you plan on growing, like if you have a business that you intend on sort of keeping relatively small and with 2-3 employees, maybe you don't need an org chart. But I have a business that I'm growing and trying to scale, and that's going to require different roles and more employees. And so in order to sort of project out 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 5 years down the line, you need to have an idea of where your business is currently and where you want your business to be by then. And so you need to imagine what that looks like and imagine what kind of roles you might need. And so you have to build out that org chart sort of hypothetically at first, and then like do goal setting to figure out how to get there and how to expand your company in a way that reflects your future org chart.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you'd write out the org chart showing where you wanted your business to be in a few years.
Yeah.
And you might have been wearing several of the hats from the org chart
Yes.
when you did that, but
I was mostly in every single box at one point.
mm,
And so then you need to just figure out how you're going to fill that and
mm,
who you're going to fill it with, and make
mhm.
sure that there's a bunch of supporting SOPs that will teach somebody exactly how to do that job.
Wow.
Mhm.
Sounds amazing, this process you did.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it obviously has had its fair share of hiccups as well, but yeah, I'm happy with the way that I've grown the business and organized the business and planned the business, because I think that's a very important piece as well, is the planning of the business.
It's almost like having those SOPs and organization, org chart, it provides a safety net while you're on the tightrope with your intuition, taking chances on people. Like,
Definitely,
do you,
definitely.
do you feel you've taken more chances in your business since you've connected with your business intuition, or?
Um, that's a great question. I'm not going to say that I haven't been jaded by sort of crappy employees in the past. Um, so I do feel as though I have a stronger business intuition than I did when I first started. Because there's a certain, when you first start a business, you can be sort of naive, and you can give people the benefit of the doubt based on a CV or a cover letter. But then when you talk to them and you don't feel right, and you hire them anyways, that leads you to be a little bit jaded sometimes.
Mm,
So I think that I've learned how to sort of trust my gut, regardless of how somebody's cover letter and CV looks.
mm.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the people. You don't have to name names, but you said you hired them because they looked great on paper, or?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. Somebody had referred a contractor to me,
Mhm.
and they said we had such great luck with this guy. He was pivotal for our business, and this is when I was looking for a very specific role, with a very specific skill that I didn't actually have, and so I hired him, and I was like, hey, we're going to do a 4-month trial. These are my goals. This is where I want to be after this 4-month sort of trial. Can you get me these results?
Mm.
And he said, yeah, no problem. And he sent me a list of things that I needed to provide him with to make the I don't want to say exactly what the role is, just in case somebody.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I provided him with all of the materials that he needed to make this initiative work. And he started plugging away at this job, and when the results weren't coming in his favor, he started sort of like blaming me for it. and I was perplexed by this, because like I had hired him to do this job, and he had like great experience. He had an amazing sort of like portfolio in terms of what kind of clients he'd worked with in the past. And so I think that, yeah, I was like very disappointed in terms of our results, and we pissed away a lot of money on that initiative, and it was a failed test, I'd say. But yeah, I was just extremely surprised that somebody who possessed this very unique and technical skill would turn around and blame me when he wasn't able to produce the results that we were looking for.
Now, looking back, what do you think your intuition was trying to tell you about him?
The first time I spoke to him, I didn't really like him, and I couldn't figure out why, because he had, you know, a similar lifestyle as me. He had experience in exactly what I was looking for. And so there's like no reason really why I shouldn't have hired him from that first initial meeting, except for the fact that I didn't really like him. And so if I had, you know, trusted my intuition a little bit, maybe I would have kept looking elsewhere. Yeah. It's too bad, but I, you know, won't make that mistake again.
No. How else do you hear your intuitive messages? Do you hear words in your head, or you get a feeling in your body, or you feel certain emotions? Or
I think it's just I think it again goes hand in hand with trust and a gut feeling, and feeling good after a conversation with somebody. So, you know, that conversation with the contractor that I wasn't overly overwhelmed with, just the difference between my first conversation with him versus my first conversation with Laura, who's now managing the business, day and night, you know. So I think that your gut, definitely there's something to say about listening to it. When you're making
for you, how do you know whether it's a gut feeling or it's just you ate a bad hamburger for lunch?
That's a good question. I don't know how to explain it. I think it's whether you get on with that person or not, and after you hang up, whether you feel good about the conversation or you feel bad about the conversation.
Are there any other intuitive methods you use in your business, like, you know, visualizing your goals? Or?
Well, I think that yes, definitely visualizing our goals. We have a spreadsheet that we've created for our weekly meeting. And at the first page of that spreadsheet has our goals down on it. So we've written down our goals, and then we've written down our vision, our mission, and our values. And our goals always have to be aligned with our vision, our mission, and our values. And I think that's a good way of visualizing it. If you're, before every weekly meeting, if you're going through those goals and making sure that they're aligned with your company values, I think that's a really good way of visualizing stuff and projecting forward.
So you're sharing all those vision and mission and values with every employee every week?
Every employee every week, yeah.
Yeah.
And making sure that, you know, our goals reflect that. And if we're making goals that don't reflect that, then we need to reevaluate our goals, because our vision, our mission, and our values are not going to change.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious what you see from people seeing that every week, because a lot of companies come up with vision statements and values and what have you, but then they put them away in a cupboard, locked up for the next 5 years.
Right. So I think that's the value of having it on the front page of our weekly meeting template is that we go through them every week, and they're not lost, and they're the first thing that we touch on every week, which I think is very important in keeping people aligned and on the same page.
That's very, very neat that you do that. So any other business intuition tips or stories you'd like to share with the listeners?
Business intuition tips or stories. Well, during that DC BKK prize giveaway that I received from Greg last year. I feel like I used my intuition in that interview with him, and I feel as though I was able to sort of answer the questions, or answer his questions in a way that that would make him want to give me that prize. So I feel like I use my intuition in terms of what kind of person he was, and yeah, what kind of answers he was looking for. So I felt I used my intuition to my benefit there for sure.
Now, tell me how that works for you when you're talking, and it sounds like you probably use that skill when you're talking with potential clients, I'm guessing, as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So how does that work for you? Someone asks you a question. How do you know to answer the question in a certain way? Do you get some kind of nudge from your gut?
Yeah. So I think it's about reading people. And yeah, I think it's about reading people, and I use this in sales calls all the time, and figuring out what problem they're looking to solve, and then angling your answers in a way that will solve their problems. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Way you could? It does make sense. Is there any way you could bottle this skill so our listeners could?
Bottle this skill so our listeners can replicate it?
Just put the essence of this skill into a bottle. We can sell it to the listeners. So they can do that too.
I'll try.
Were you always this way? That you could read people using your intuition, or is it something you've been able to grow? Or
I think that when you're forced into a sales position for your business, I think that that's something that comes with time and practice, and being able to sort of sell yourself, and that's something that comes with lots and lots of sales calls.
Practice, yes.
Practice, yeah.
Do you do any journaling about your sales calls, or some other way to reflect back on this is what worked or didn't work? Or?
There are times that there are times where I'll record them, and that has actually allowed me to come up with a pretty open script for sales calls, to figure out who they are, what their business is, what their needs are, very quickly and very organic fashion. So that it doesn't seem like I'm eliciting requirements from them, that it just kind of seems like I'm just shooting the shit with them a bit, and just chatting with them. But it allows me to sort of draw out key information that will then allow me to sell better to them, based on their answers. So I think having a vague script is important, and just different ways of asking the same question so that you're getting the answers that you're looking for.
Now, I'm curious, because you haven't been in the business for a few months now.
Yeah.
Do you have a face to your business, and if so, who is that face?
That face, yeah. So I have. We actually have done this really cute thing. It's called the Ladies of the Laptops series.
Oh.
It's on our blog at contentrefine.com, and it's essentially it allows our clients and potential clients to know who their project managers are, and so you can go on there and you can click through and see who each key member of our team is in terms of our project management team, and then find out a little bit more about them. So there's a picture of them, there's pictures of what they like to do in their spare time, a little bit of information about their professional background, but then their personal background as well. So that has been sort of our effort to diversify the face of our company, because I don't want it just to be me. And I think that people want to feel personally connected to the people that they're working with. And so this has drastically minimized, emails coming to me about problems.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's been great because if I was just always the face of the company, I'm the one who's getting the complaints, right? And I'm the one who's getting the emails, sort of asking for clarification on different processes. Whereas I think that since we've diversified the face of the company to sort of reflect all of our project managers, that responsibility gets divided up between our management team, which is really nice. And it gives people like a more personal touch on who they're dealing with, so clients, and this is like, we've been measuring this, and since this Lady of the Laptop series, we've received less complaints. We've received less like nasty emails, because people feel connected and feel like they know who they're dealing with, and it's not just somebody sitting behind a computer. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, it's nice.
So let's wrap this up by asking you a couple of questions. One is, why are you proud to use your business intuition?
Why am I proud to use my business intuition? Man, these are tough questions. I think I'm proud to use my business intuition because it has allowed me to make pivotal decisions in my business that has allowed me to scale.
And then, as you probably know, I'm on a mission for all business owners and managers to openly use their business intuition at work, because they'll make more money, be more happy, less stressed. So my final question here is, what would it take to make business intuition more openly used this year?
Probably coaching on how to use it and why you should use it, because a lot of people make data-driven decisions. And I make data-driven decisions as well all the time, but I think there's a time and a place for that. And I think that, especially when it comes to like hiring, I think that using your business intuition is a smarter strategy than making data decision or driven decisions. Yeah,
it makes sense to me. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with database decisions or logic-based decisions. It's like a tool chest. You've got screwdrivers and hammers and saws, and if you're trying to put a nail in the wall, don't use the screwdriver.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with the screwdriver.
No, exactly.
So if people want to find you online, what are the best ways to do that?
Well, you can find us at contentrefine.com. And if anybody is interested in testing out our service, or I mean, every business needs content. So if anybody's tired of writing their own content and would like to try out Content Refined, they can get a 20% off discount.
Wow.
By using the promo code podcast.
All right. I will put that in the show notes.
Sure.
So it's pretty easy to remember.
Yeah.
And I'll put the link to your website along with the other things we mentioned during the episode. And are you decent to come back on the video to say goodbye, or are you still?
I am. This guy has been. Yes.
I didn't even,
Here he
is. There we are.
Here he is. Hello, everybody.
Yes,
Hello.
Ethan says hello.
Here
you think young babies use their intuition?
I think young babies have. I'm not sure how much intuition young babies have. I think babies, especially at this age, have have 3 needs. They have sleep, food, and cuddles.
Well, that sounds good. I mean, that sounds
Yeah.
pretty good if you're older than a baby, really.
Yes, yes. I agree. But yeah, so then any listeners out there have little babies, just make sure you get all of the cuddles, because that's really all they need.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great catching up, and yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. So,